What's up, Gamecock fans? That's right, it's your buddy Rooster. Back today to talk about South Carolina and the 2025 season and the expectations. Now, we have seen a major, wide variety of expectations for the 2025 South Carolina Gamecocks from different people in the media, different people in the fan base, different fans of other teams. But what are the realistic expectations for South Carolina in 2025? Where is the ceiling? Where do they land that the South Carolina fan base would be disappointed if they fell to that? The floor that the fan base would settle for and say, okay, we look at the schedule in a realistic perspective. At the end of the year, you go back and you look at the schedule and you say, well, yeah, now that we see some of these other teams and how they ended up, whether they ended up much better than we expected, or if we lose to someone that ends up worse than expected. And I think some of this comes back to the LSU game last year. When we lost to LSU, the expectations for LSU was to make the college football playoff, kind of compete for the SEC championship. And they didn't. They ended up with a worse record than South Carolina. So at the time, we say, well, it's LSU. We should have beat them. A lot of things happened that game. We're not going to rehash everything that happened. But they ended up 8-4, not making the playoffs. Really didn't contend for the SEC championship game. So if you look at South Carolina's schedule this year, our road games, our home games. You start trying to break it down, games we should win, toss-up games, and games a lot of people will never think South Carolina can win. Now, I think South Carolina can upset some folks, especially if you get some of your tougher games at home. But a lot of people think certain games would be an upset. Like if South Carolina were to beat Oklahoma at home, maybe there's an upset. I don't understand how you would think that was an upset, considering South Carolina pretty much demolished Oklahoma last year on the road in Norman. So I don't, if you're not favored in a game, I guess you can consider it an upset. But I mean, if it's just like a home line of 1, 2, 3 points, 3.5 points, something like that, basically Vegas considers that a toss-up. Most people would consider those a toss-up. So what is the ceiling? When I look at a schedule breakdown, I also look at when the teams that we face, who do they play before us, who do they play after us. If you go back to my South Carolina prediction video, I kind of talked about that a little bit. Everyone expects, you're going to get rolled by Alabama. No one's predicting us to beat Alabama. And I'm like, man, we went on the road against Alabama. But you lost all these people. But we went on the road to Alabama and was in that thing to the end. If we'd have got a 2-point conversion, made a field goal, whatever, the excuse is over. The game's over with. We lost the game. We move on to this year. Where Alabama's at in front of us is Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Tennessee. That's who they play before they travel to Williams-Brice Stadium. They get a week off after us, and then they face LSU, Oklahoma, another two, what people are going to consider this year tough teams to beat. So South Carolina kind of falls right in the middle of that really 7-game stretch. Now, a lot of people will point at South Carolina's schedule, but that's a tough 4-game stretch. But right at that point in time, almost every SEC team has a tough stretch. Who do they get up for? Where are they coming off of? Where are you traveling to? The type of environment you're going into. How's the team played so far that year going into that game? Now, I've heard South Carolina fans say 5-0 before we play LSU. I like to take it more one game at a time. Let's beat Virginia Tech. Now, I did predict South Carolina to go 9-3, but I do want to take these one at a time because we know South Carolina, and I try to it's just PTSD for us South Carolina fans, especially the old ones, right? We felt this position before. The hype was coming in to be let down. So a lot of people think, well, South Carolina fans are just negative all the time when it comes to they're looking for a disappointment. No, kind of got used to that at times. I just think Beamer's got a better team. I think there's more talent on this team than we've seen in a very long time. Spurrier built talent. Then we had the short run of, the 11 wins and that kind of stuff. But then the talent started falling off because Spurrier really got out of caring about recruiting. We all know that. Well, now, Beamer's not that guy. Beamer wants to recruit his ass off. He's going to recruit his ass off. He has the energy to recruit. He's a younger guy. He's a great personality. He makes people feel at home. So I don't see that fall off coming. Now, he has his way of doing things. We're high school recruiting. That's how he likes to mix. And now transfer portal. And that's how he's doing it. He's not going to take a bunch of just random shots for high school guys to get a big class. He will fill the needs, and he'll know more to fill the needs of what he needs for 2026 when the season's over, right? You see who stays, who goes, who graduates. This is a fairly young football team. There may be a couple guys that step off of this team next year, including Lenore Sellers, depending on where he's projected in the draft. Everyone seems to think he's going to leave, but if he comes back, he's going to have pretty much the same football team around him. There's very few guys on this team that's going to be leaving. If you look at the wide receiver core, the running backs, a lot of these guys. I mean, Oscar Attaway will be going, but you got Matthew Fuller if you can keep him. He's here. Gustav, another guy that'll be around. I mean, all these guys, if you can keep them out of transfer portal and keep them on the team, are young guys that you're still building your future with. This offensive line full of nothing but young guys. Shit's a rat's a freshman. You got a bunch of redshirt sophomores. So you don't have to build a lot there. Defensive line, you got some younger guys there too. I mean, outside of Barrett, I think everyone can come back. I'd have to check on the status of Goodwine. I don't know if this will be his last year or not, but most of these guys will be back. The linebacker core, I think out of Sean Murphy, I think he's still got eligibility after this year, but we'll see how that goes. But a lot of young guys coming in that linebacker room too. So what's the expectations for South Carolina 2025 for the fan? Where do we need? I think everyone expects South Carolina to be around 10-2 with a shot of making the playoffs again. With 9-3, South Carolina get into the playoffs. I think that would, since they're saying there's more emphasis, we'll see how this goes, more emphasis on the games you win. You don't get dinged as much for losses against good teams, but you get dinged more for losses against bad teams. So where would that put South Carolina this year? Could they make the playoffs? If your losses against playoff contending teams, you beat all the ones you should beat, you win most of your toss-ups, I think South Carolina's sitting right there at 9-3, 10-2. I think anything less, I've seen a lot of predictions of people saying 7-5 for South Carolina. I think that would be very disappointing to everyone on that team, the coaching staff, and the fans. Oh, before we go too far, I would like to say this is some information I just caught. Tavarian Robertson, South Carolina's defensive line coach, understand was in an accident earlier today and is in the hospital. We're going to send prayers out to him and his family and everyone that surrounds him. Beamer said in a comment he's okay, but we'll keep him in our prayers over here at Always Cocky Nation, and just hope he gets well. That's what we hope for. But that's more important than football right now. Always, always, always health, family, more important than football. College football will be here whenever he's ready to come back and is healed up from his accident. But back to the expectations. I think everyone wants South Carolina to finally get over that hump and get into the playoffs. You think back, I heard J.C. Sherbert say this, and I didn't really think about it because I didn't focus on it too much by the end of the year. Once once my disappointment was down from not making the college football playoffs, we were a 2-point conversion tying Alabama and having a shot of making into the SEC championship. We would have had the tiebreaker over Georgia. And I didn't do my homework in that. Honestly, I was so busy at the end of the season with moving and stuff around the house. I didn't do my research into that, but after he said that, I went back and looked, and he's absolutely 100% correct. So South Carolina was very close to doing everything. South Carolina's broken a lot of jinxes and streaks, losing streaks, since he's become the coach at South Carolina. So now everyone wants a streak of where we're now getting back into contention for SEC championships, college football playoffs. Now we're going to have the upcoming 9-game schedule starting next year. I mean, we just signed Nike. Everyone's excited. We did lose a commitment of an offensive lineman, which we're not going to call his name here because we don't talk about people that aren't Gamecocks around here. You want to leave? We wish you well. Famous Shane Beamer words, wish you well. But we may have a 5-star committing tonight. We'll see, and we'll talk about it tomorrow if it happens. But we have college football tomorrow. Isn't the excitement great? College football starts tomorrow. South Carolina next Sunday. We'll do a great breakdown of Virginia Tech next week. But you guys tell me in the comments, where do you expect South Carolina to be? Where would disappointment be for you? If South Carolina's 7-5 for me, I think I'd be very disappointed compared to the expectations I have, just because of my schedule breakdown and the way I've looked at this and how some of these games fall. And I think they fall in a good spot for South Carolina. But we'll see how it works out. We'll see. Everybody's got to stay healthy, right? Predictions right now are based upon everyone being healthy when you get into the meat and the end of the season. So you never know with anyone who gets banged up, who's out, who's playing, who's not playing, how that turns out and how it affects your football team. But you guys, please like, share, comment, tell me your ceiling for South Carolina, your expectations, where you think we should be, your realistic expectations, and then tell me where's the line that you think you would feel very disappointed in this football team and what we did in 2025. But until then, I'm going to go watch this commitment, see where Darius Gray lands. If he's a Gamecock, we'll talk about him. If he's not a Gamecock, we ain't talking about him, because we only talk about Gamecocks around here. Anyway, peace, y'all. Have a wonderful, beautiful rest of your evening.